And we have a winner in the Rand Paul versus Chris Christie fight. Last night, the judges called it unanimously for Chris Christie.
He is a major league political talent, and I think he manhandled Rand Paul over the last 2 days in this debate.
He says, this started because I was asked a question, and when people ask me questions, I just give plain, simple answers. And I think that's why Steve talks about him being such a major league talent.
Don't mess with Jersey is the lesson for Senator Rand Paul. And today, the very first thing Rand Paul did was admit he was beat and surrendered. He did it on a New Hampshire radio show first thing this morning. And then, just to make sure that Chris Christie would hear him this afternoon, Senator Paul surrendered on the official Republican news channel.
Yeah, I think it's time to dial it down. I think we've got enough Democrats to attack that maybe Republicans can quit attacking Republicans. You know, I've said my piece on this.
As reported here last night, this is what Rand Paul said when he said his piece on Chris Christie.
It's really, I think, kind of sad and cheap that he would use the cloak of 9/11 victims and say, oh, I'm the only one who cares about these victims. Hogwash. If he cared about protecting this country, maybe he wouldn't be in this gimme, 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 gimme all the money you have in Washington or don't have, and he'd be a little more fiscally responsive and know that the way we defend our country, the way we have enough money for national defense, is by being frugal and not by saying gimme, gimme, gimme all the time.
The gimme, gimme, gimme bit was about Chris Christie fighting for federal aid for the victims of Hurricane Sandy in New Jersey. Like most Republicans, Rand Paul had no idea that New Jersey was simply asking for its own money back from Washington because, as we pointed out here Monday night, and as Chris Christie echoed the next day, New Jersey sends much more money into the federal government than it ever gets back in federal spending. In fact, for every dollar New Jersey sends to Washington, it only gets back 77 cents, while Rand Paul's gimme, gimme, gimme Kentucky, one of those gimme, gimme, gimme states, gets back much more from the federal government than it ever sends in tax revenue. For every dollar Rand Paul's Kentucky sends to Washington, Kentucky gets back $1.57. And now, as I said, I didn't expect Chris Christie to go there because of all the important presidential primary states. They are all gimme, gimme, gimme states that collect more money from the federal government than they ever send in. And the first four Republican primary states, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Florida, are all what Rand Paul would call gimme, gimme, gimme states if he actually knew the math. And in what could actually be a minor clue that Chris Christie might not be planning on running for president, he actually did use that argument against Rand Paul yesterday.
Interestingly, Kentucky gets $1.51 on every dollar they send to Washington. So if Senator Paul wants to start looking at where he's going to cut spending to afford defense, maybe he should start looking at cutting the pork barrel spending that he brings home to Kentucky at $1.51 for every dollar, and not look at New Jersey, where we get 61 cents for every dollar.
Christie wasn't actually using the latest numbers there. It is, as I said, 77 cents for New Jersey, $1.57 for Kentucky, according to the latest figures. But the problem for Chris Christie there was, how does he take that argument on the road to those early presidential primary states who all profit from the federal government the way Kentucky does? And as of yesterday, it looked like this fight was going to go on, perhaps all the way to the presidential campaign trail, because yesterday Rand Paul shot back at Chris Christie about federal spending in their states.
We have 2 military bases in Kentucky, and is Governor Christie recommending that we shut down our military bases?
The relentlessly uninformed Rand Paul actually believed that it is Kentucky's 2 military bases that allow it to turn a profit in its relationship with the federal government. Rand Paul very clearly had no idea that New Jersey has 8 military bases, and even with 4 times the military bases that Kentucky has, New Jersey still loses money in its relationship with the federal government because New Jersey sends in so much more in tax revenue than Kentucky can ever dream of, and that is because New Jersey is richer than Kentucky, much, much richer, much more successful. That's the Republican word for it, successful. That's how Republicans put it, because they equate income and success. So New Jersey's much more successful. The median income in New Jersey is $71,180. The median income in Kentucky is $42,248. And so New Jersey ends up paying Kentucky's bills at the federal treasury. Without that huge flow of federal money into Kentucky from the states that really pay for the federal government, the donor states like New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, the 13 donor states, without that wonderful, generous gift from New Jersey and those other states to Kentucky, Kentucky would be a very sad place to live. But it's not. Kentucky is a wonderful place to live, and it's a beautiful place. And it's a wonderful place to live because this federal wealth sharing, this federal wealth spreading system works so well. And the richer states don't go around saying resentful things about the poorer states who can't fend for themselves without infusions of federal money, unless and until a rank, ignorant senator from one of those states starts complaining about federal disaster relief money going to a state like New Jersey. Then a guy like Chris Christie isn't going to be very careful about what he says about Kentucky or its senator. He's going to teach them a lesson first and worry about their feelings later.
I got nothing personal against Senator Paul. If we disagree on certain issues, we disagree. You know, his response seems that he has something personal against me, but that's okay. You can just get in line on that front.
Today, Rand Paul decided he was afraid to get in that line, afraid of even another day of fighting with Chris Christie.
We're going to have to patch things up. If we can sit down, I'm inviting him for a beer. Anytime he would like to come down and sit down at the pub right around the corner from the Senate.
Have you heard anything on that invite?
Excuse me?
Have you heard anything on that invite?
It hasn't been formalized. I just thought of it.
That's how afraid he was. There's Rand Paul on live TV, desperately trying to think of a way to get cozy with Chris Christie. And how does he do it? How cozy do you think he really wants to get?
I think with Governor Christie, it's gotten a little too personal, so we're ready to kiss and make up.
Yeah, Rand, good luck with trying to kiss Chris Christie. I happen to have right here Chris Christie's reaction to your kissing proposal. He said this tonight on a New Jersey radio station. I'm running for re-election in New Jersey. I don't really have time for that at the moment. So, Rand, you'll be lucky if you get a handshake. And if you do get to shake his hand on Republican presidential debate stages, it will be before and after he beats the living heck out of you in those debates.